Merry Christmas, Matthew, Mason, and Madison. I am so glad you are here because I'm excited to tell you about a story of a special night. But before we start, I wanted you to know that this is coming to you from your Aunt Gigi, who loves you so much. Merry Christmas. So, hi, my name is Olivia, and I am excited to share a very important story with you. You see, the power of God works in and through the lives of all of us. Hey, Mason, do you know who Jesus is? How about you, Matthew? Who is Jesus? Okay, Madison, your turn. Do you know who Jesus is? Of course you do. Well, this story is about how God used a simple little donkey to help Jesus. When I was a baby, my mother and father were given a baby donkey to help carry me around. His name is Havivi, which means friend in Hebrew. I know it's a silly name, right? Okay, Mason, can you say Havivi? Matthew? Havivi. Okay, Madison. Havivi. Well, he was always by my side and watched over me. He would tickle me with his fuzzy nose on my cheek, and I would just giggle. There was no better friend. I told Havivi everything, and he shared great stories of his daily adventures with me. It's true, he could talk to me, just like the donkey you talked in the Bible. You can find that story in the book of Numbers 22, verse 28. Hey, check it out. I believe in God, and with all things are possible. Mason, Havivi was proof of that. Well, one day my father said that God told him that we needed to give Havivi to our neighbor Joseph. So Madison, Joseph, he had this wife, Mary, and they had their unborn child, and they were required to travel to Bethlehem to register for the king. Matthew, even though I was heartbroken at the thought that he would no longer be mine, I knew he would never be far from me. Havivi told me about how he carried Mary on his back. He stepped gently to make sure he did not slip and fall. Mason, he asked God to guide his footsteps. And you know what? He heard God's own voice in his ear, bringing him comfort along the way. Matthew, with each mile, Havivi became stronger, and now he knew it was because God himself chose him for this journey. Madison arriving in Bethlehem, oh boy, they tried to find their way through that enormous crowd. It was busy. But Havivi was alert, and he tried not to stumble on the cobblestone streets. Now, once again, he felt God's presence as they were peacefully guided on what they felt to be their own special path. Mason, the day was now turning to night, and quickly Joseph knew that he had to find a place to rest. But you know what? Mary would brush Havivi's fur with a mother's touch. She would gently talk to him along the way and showing her love for him. Matthew, it was impossible for Joseph to find an inn because, why? Well, they were all full, so many people. But finally, an innkeeper took mercy on them, and he offered them a place in his barn. They were all so tired, and Havivi began to drift off to sleep. Madison, all of a sudden there was a gentle breeze, a beautiful smell, a scent, and a new sound in that barn, one familiar to him. You know what it was? The sound of a newborn baby. They called him Jesus. High in the sky, a star lit up the night like a diamond over the simple little barn. Well, Matthew, that night, there were shepherds in the field attending their sheep, the angel of the Lord appeared and told them the great news that their Lord and Savior had been born in Bethlehem, the city of David. Mason, the angel told them to follow the star. That's it. And it would lead them straight to him. Filled with joy, they began their journey to this holy place to see with their own eyes. The shepherds followed the star and quietly entered the stable. Matthew, a little shepherd boy, knelt beside Jesus and began to sing sweetly in his ear to bring him honor. Havivi felt it his duty to watch over this baby while others entered that night. So guess what, Madison? With his nose, he squeezed right in there to be by this precious child. Now, King Herod heard about this precious child. He then ordered a wise man, actually 3 of them, to go and report back to him. You know what, Mason? As soon as these men saw the star, a great joy filled their hearts, and they bowed down to the King of Kings, the Son of God, named Jesus. They then presented him with frankincense, gold, and myrrh. This Son of God glowed in the candlelight, and his warmth filled the cool night air. As the shepherd boy continued to sing, a smaller child known as the drummer boy began keeping time. Matthew, the music soothed their souls, and together they honored Jesus with their song. Madison, what a night it had been, and now it was time to go to sleep. Havivi watched as Mary tucked the blankets around Jesus and then soon wrapped herself and Joseph in their own blankets to protect them from the cold midnight air. Matthew, as he began to close his eyes, he heard rustling. Opened his eyes and he saw Mary get up from her bed, and she walked over to him. She then cupped her hands and placed them under his nose and put her head against his and said, "Thank you, Havivi. You served God well." Wow. Mary then led Havivi to Jesus and said, "Please watch over my son tonight. I am so very tired." Oh, he felt honored by her request, and so he snuggled up to this sweet boy again and watched every breath he took. As he watched over all of them, he began to realize how God used him. He was amazed and touched how God called for a lowly donkey to be an important part of this great gift for the world. There'd be no forgetting this journey for him. His strength came from God, and his heart, oh, it was filled with love. Matthew, Mason, and Madison, oh, I hope you have enjoyed this special story. I know it's about a silly little donkey, but there's so much to learn from this one night. In fact, I want to share with you what Havivi said to me. As I snuggled up against his neck, he told me to listen very closely. He told me to make Jesus my best friend and ask him into my heart. He told me to never be afraid because Jesus is always near. And finally, he told me to always look for God's hope in my life. So Matthew, Mason, and Madison, make Jesus your best friend and ask him into your heart. Don't be afraid because Jesus is always near. And always look for God's hope in your own life. And remember what Havivi taught all of us. You are my sweet little friends. May you be blessed. Remember to always be a blessing to others. Your friends forever and ever. Olivia and Havivi. Merry Christmas and good night.